Hi, everybody. Welcome to Elevate Your eSignature game with Docubee. We are so excited to introduce you to our all-in-one contract automation platform today. To get things started, I'm going to turn things over to Brian O'Leary, who's going to introduce you to our team.
Thanks, Ariana. Appreciate it. A special thanks to Ariana for being our moderator today. As I mentioned, my name's Brian O'Leary. I'm the Senior Channel Account Executive here at the Accusoft and Docubee. I'm going to be your day-to-day contact. Anything and everything you guys need, feel free to reach out. We'll make sure you have my contact information. We'll get it out to everyone afterwards, as well as a lot of other little helpful tips and clips for you guys. Today, I'm going to be joined by Michael Griffin. He's our Senior Manager of Customer Success and Sales Engineering for Accusoft and Docubee. Michael is a master Docubee workflow builder, and he'll give us a really quick tour. We're not going to bore you guys. We don't want to overload you, but he's just going to show you what Docubee can really do in a real high level. When your partners or when your clients are ready to look at this, we can set up special demos for them. And then at the end, Michael and myself will be answering some questions at the end of the webinar. If you don't want to wait, feel free to pop it in chat and we'll get it to them when we're done. And with all that out of the way, let's get into Docubee. As I mentioned, we're just going to run through a few slides for you guys. We don't want to really bore you. We're going to tell you who we are, give some product information, and then we'll get into the demo. And that's really the fun part. By the end of the presentation, though, we are going to expect all of you guys to know enough to be part of the Docubee Hive. And we're going to expect you to be able to go out to your end users and pollinate some profitable deals. And yes, the marketing department makes us use a lot of B puns, just so you guys know. Okay, so really getting into who is Docubee. Docubee was developed as a contract automation platform with an e-signature module. We, over years, Accusoft being our parent company, when I say we, dealt in some really large, complex contracts and agreements. And we felt that the market just really needed a product that was more than DocuSign or Adobe Sign. And that's why Docubee was developed. I mentioned Accusoft. It's our parent company. They're based in Tampa. They've been around for over 31 years. They've been developing document processing tools and system developer type things. I really mention them because in fact, you guys, SHI, have sold close to $500,000 a year in that product. We're not really here today to talk about that, but if it ever does come up, feel free to reach out. You guys can continue selling it and I can help you with that pricing. But today we really wanted to teach you about Docubee because we know there's a real space in the market for it right now and a need from your end users. So what we've done, and let's go on to the next slide here, is we've set up 4 SKUs with you guys through TD Synex. They are single seat individual base licenses. I think you guys are all familiar with what that means. If not, just reach out. I can help you with the SKU setup a little bit. But these range from a very competitively priced e-signature solution all the way up to a robust enterprise contract negotiation solution. Our e-signature Docubee Sign is very similar to what you guys can sell today with Docusign or Adobe Sign. The Docubee Sign is very similar, but very competitive priced. I do want to call out, and I'm kind of leaving my normal script here a bit. I was in executive meetings this week where the head of our company basically said, tell those SHI reps, we don't want to lose a deal. We're going to make sure they make margin and win the deals. So please, if you guys get an opportunity for one of those competitors, reach out to us. We're going to make sure you make some margin and we're going to make your clients much happier with a better product at a better price. Back to our SKUs. I'll get back to the script now. The 4 SKUs, as I said, start with Docubee Sign, and then moving up the ladder, each one takes the features from the previous one and adds in new features. And that's what our developers really found, is that our competitors just don't offer a lot of those features. Again, I'm supposed to call out competitively priced. A a little story I like to tell that kind of brings it together a little bit for you guys. We're all in sales. Um, we've had our manager asking why a deal isn't closed or an agreement hasn't been signed. The contract's not done yet. And we all go and we get the contract or the quote created, send it off to the client. They wait for their email, open up their email and say, hey, I don't agree with this piece of wording or this pricing. And they email back and say, hey, I want this different. And before you know it, what could have taken a couple hours is taken days or even weeks. With some of our contract negotiation features, that document can be brought up on both screens in real time, the edits and red lines made, and the e-signature popped in, and we're back to a few hours again. So just to bring it home for as an example for you guys, another feature that I'm seeing is real popular with the end users today is for large corporations that are really worried about their name brand and their logo, getting their logo out there. We have a white label capability. And some of our clients, instead of broadcasting Docusign everywhere, now they're putting Ernest and Bird, their own logo, on all that stuff that's getting signed. So that's kind of our SKUs, very simple. If you guys have any questions, let me know. When we get up into the enterprise piece, that's the only one that doesn't have a set price. That will be special bid, and you can work with us directly to take care of that at any time. We'll work with you like night and day for it. I did want to mention, I know it's important to you guys, we do have a strict deal registration policy. So when you guys have a end user opportunity, we're going to be creating a landing page for you guys. You simply click on it, enter the information. And another neat thing that it's in the background, you're seeing one of the Docubee workflows that will automatically enter that information into our CRM system. And then you'll be locked and loaded for the deal registration. If you guys have any questions about this stuff, feel free to chat through the chat box, or at the end we can take a look at them. But next, let me just jump to a quick slide. I've kind of mentioned a lot of it already, but why Docubee, right? Why would you suggest to your clients to leave their DocuSign or Adobe Sign? Number one, and the most important probably, they may not say this, but they're all being overcharged. And we are a much better option. And like I said, we've figured it out and we've got it in there so that you guys make margin and you're not going in at 2 or 3 points, that's for sure. One thing I do like to call out on this slide, it's a neat thing that's happened. I've been in the channel for years, and I'm assuming a lot of you guys have as well. We all know who Gartner is, and we know that typically your company has to spend a lot of money with their marketing, paying for ads before they'll put you into their award program or getting awards from them. And really, we were shocked. We're not shocked that our product won them. We were shocked that they gave them without any solicitation at all. We really don't work much with Gartner this year. Hopefully that'll change in the future. But we were presented with 3 awards, and they kind of tie into what I talked to you guys about. Number one, best value. They realized that we're a really good product at the right price. Customer support. Michael's team of folks that help onboard the clients, as well as keep them happy, are top notch, and they're all here in the United States. And lastly, ease of use. You'll see it a little bit when I turn over here to Michael in a minute. But the ease of use. I never thought as a sales guy I'd be able to go in and edit contracts or even set it up for an e-signature, but it is really easy to use. And let's face it, saving time is productivity. And I think just about every one of your end user clients, that's probably one of their things you could call them on and say, hey, I've got a productivity tool for you. Let's set up a demo with the folks at Docubee. And that's really my presentation for you guys today. I do want to say, though, feel free to reach out to me for anything at any time. We would love to set up some demos for any of your DocuSign clients, any of your Adobe Sign clients, or like I said, any of your clients that are looking to be more productive. They're trying to figure out how to cut some cost. Reach out to us. We can set up a quick 20, 30-minute demo, and I think we'd really wow them. I could keep talking on and on, but don't want to take too much of your guys' time, and I want to leave some time for Michael to show a little bit about Docubee here. Michael, if you're ready.
Hi, everyone. I am Michael Griffith. I'm the Senior Manager of Customer Success and Sales Engineering team here at Docubee and Accusoft. And I'm excited to get to show you around inside of Docubee. So I'm going to back out of this slide real quick and go over to the product. So this right here is our dashboard page. This is what it looks like as soon as you log into Docubee. It's pretty straightforward. Shows you organization standings, shows you workspaces, and I'll briefly touch on that. Workspaces, like we like to talk about them as like groups or departments. So if one of your clients has a HR department, an IT department, and the documents and data that they're dealing with are sensitive and they don't want those documents or those departments to see each other's stuff, you can set permissions based off of that. So I only have access to XYZ, workspaces, right? We also see here on the right any of our quick sign processes, which is our probably our most simple use case for Docubee. And we'll kind of cover that today. We're going to go through three different parts of our platform, moving from very simple to a little bit more complex, and then to probably the most complex we can get, right? So starting that out from the dashboard, I want to show you a little bit about the settings real quick, point out two different things. One being you can manage all your workspaces here, and just like I showed you, you're able to add members to specific workspaces to keep things separate. The main thing I do want to point out is that we do have branding. So I know that's not always there with other products. So you're able to actually remove our logo, put your own logo there, change colors to what it would look like when someone accesses Docubee. So any of these customers that you're sending a document to or a contract to, they don't necessarily have to have a Docubee login. So when they get that link and they open it up, this is where you have the ability to put your logo here or change some colors. So let me just go ahead and demonstrate that. Let me change this accent color to pink. So you can see you're able to change that to match your company colors. Or let's just silly throw one of my favorite pictures in here of Scooby-Doo. You can see Docubee will now be removed and your logo would appear there on the site, right? So just want to touch on that real briefly. And so moving forward, let's start with the most simple use case that we have, which what was we could consider called quick sign, which is simply I have a document, I need to get it signed, and that's it, right? Very simple. So right here from the dashboard, you're able to click get a document signed. And here you're able to upload from your computer, your phone, wherever you're using it from. You're able to upload 20 different documents to sign yourself or to send out for signature. But you can also pull from the document library that we have within Docubee. So you can upload your own documents there and manage them as templates. You can also pull from Google Drive or Dropbox, right? So I'm going to pull from something I have in my library. We're just going to do a simple NDA that I have in here. And I'm going to hit continue. And once this opens up, it's going to present me with the document after I put in who am I sending it to. So I have two roles for this document, one being internal, the countersigner, and one whoever I'm sending it to externally. So I'm going to go ahead and put that person in here. And there's a various amount of settings we can do from this stage. So first off, the one thing I like to point out is the set signing order. Sometimes there's documents where I need them to be signed in a specific order. Brian has to sign before I'm able to sign. Or it doesn't matter. I just want to send it to Brian and Michael at the same time, and either one of them can sign first, right? So we can toggle that on or off right here. If there is a set signing order, I could just drag and drop these to the order I would like them in. Um, Another thing is that we can add up to 6 different signers for this packet of documents. So we can just keep adding a new signer and putting in their email. Another thing is we can add additional recipients. So someone that's not actually involved in the signing process, but would receive a finalized copy at the end. So for instance, this is an NDA. This is going to go to my legal team after it's done, right? So we could add them in there, just who's going to get that finalized copy. Now, on an individual signing basis, we have an advanced settings here where we're able to go a little bit deeper. Like, do we want to allow someone to decline this signature or to delegate to someone else? Do we want to do any two-factor security, or do we want to add a password to this document itself? So we can add a simple password like this, and they will have to actually enter that password before they're able to even see the document and sign it. You're also able to customize a notification email to them, so it will show that, excuse me, it'll be able to show this basic test here, or you could actually type in here whatever you'd like to customize that email. So once we have all this settings and all this stuff set up, who we're sending it to, we just simply click continue. It's going to present us with that NDA. And you can see I already have some fields set up because this was a template I'm using, but we're able to use any of these fields up here. So if I want to drop another signature field, it's simple as that. I can drag and stretch this out and size it appropriately. We can do dates as well. And another thing on the side panel, you'll see here, we have some additional options like, is this a required field? Is this read only so they can't even touch it? Or do we even want to pre-fill this date so they don't even have to touch the date? It'll automatically be put in there for them. So we can configure this document however we'd like. And you see it is color coded by the amount of roles I have. So I had 2 roles, an internal and external. You'll see internals yellow, and you can see all those yellow boxes. And if I switch over to my next one, you can see these green ones are associated with the external party. So it's very simple and clear to see what boxes are able to be interacted with that party. So now all my fields are set up. We just simply hit send for signature. We can set an expiration to this if we want to. If not, we just hit send now, and that's going to kick off those emails to both of those parties. So if I move over to my email here, we should have a couple emails come through. So one, I have it set signing order, and we see that the internal party got it here first. They're going to review this document, and they're going to have to put that password in. So they enter their password, they can access that document, and now they're presented with the fields that only they are associated with. If we scroll down to this bottom piece, they cannot interact with that other party's fields, right? So if we check this form checklist on the right, we have two fields that are required to us fill out, one being here. So I can type whatever I'd like into this. And if we want to jump down to the signing, we can just simply click here and it navigates for us. Now, since I'm logged in, it saves my signature. If they don't have a login or if it's a first time user, they'll be able to draw their signature or type it however they'd like, right? So we can change that if we'd like. And when they're done, they'll go ahead and hit submit that document. And now that will kick off that second email to the second participant in the external party. So again, let's refresh this. And we see here, we have our second participant got their email. They're able to jump in. And we should be able to see that the information put from the first person is already burned in there. So the second participant cannot manipulate it. And they have their required fields that they need to do. So they can sign, type in their name and their title. Say this is the VP of Sales signing this, and they're able to submit that document. Now, once this is done, I will get another final email based off of the settings I said. If I allowed them to get that finalized copy, they would get an email like this, and they're able to download it. So if we open up that downloaded version, which bear with my internet at the time, we're going to open up that signed document, and you can see everything's burned in here. It is a PDF, and we're not able to manipulate it. But the most important part being this certificate at the end here that shows the audit trail of IP addresses and dates and times and everything that was referenced throughout this document signing lifecycle, right? So that, in a nutshell, is the most simple process we can do, and that is what we call quick sign. Going a little bit more complex, we're going to start talking about contracts, right? So this is where usually we're going to go into our document library here. Go navigate to the right workspace, or my demo workspace, and we have a module called contracts. This being, we know when contracts start, it's not just a simple, hey, let me send this to you and sign it. There's usually a lot of back and forth, a lot of collaboration, if you will, right? Negotiation. So we're going to start a new contract just from scratch so I can show you the full process here. Let's just name this Hello World. That's usually my favorite to do. And you can see we can start with a blank document. So we actually do have an editor within our platform, so they can start typing on it just like they would be in Word or Google Docs. Or we can pull from our computer or pull something from our library. I'm going to pull this contract template from my library. And me being the creator, it's going to open up in this Word-like editor, and I'm going to be able to start typing on it and editing things at will. So again, hello world, I can type on it. I can bold this if I want to. I could do everything like I would normally do in Google or Word. And you see we have various amounts of stages here. So that signing stage at the end, we're not going to go through again. That's exactly what I just showed you. This leverages our quick sign API. So this part right here is exactly what I just showed you. But we're going to touch on these other stages. One being collaborate, which I mentioned is all internal parties. So if me and Brian are working on this contract, I created it and I go, hey, Brian, I need your help. I want you to be in this document with me. I want you to collaborate with me. I can go select anybody that's a part of my Docubee organization. They would appear on this dropdown. I'm able to add them. I'm able to give them certain permissions, right? Do I want Brian to be able to make suggestions, or do I want to let him flat out edit this document, right? Once we do that, it's going to trigger that email automatically to Brian saying, hey, you've been invited to this contract. So here we go. You've been invited as a participant to this contract. That person's able to log in right away, and now we're live collaborating on this document. So let me pull this up real quick. This is where it's going to get a little funky because we're supposed to be on two different screens here. But as you can see, this opens up in the document for them, and they're able to edit on this as well, right? Moving towards, and you can see this is live. It shows exactly what they put in. The negotiate phase is a little bit different. That's meaning that I'm bringing in outside parties from my organization to live collaborate with me or to redline with me, right? So this is where we'll add someone from a receiving team. So someone in that external party. So we'll go ahead and add someone here that's not a part of our organization. And you'll notice that we can only give them suggestion powers. We're not allowing this person, we're not letting the control of the document leave your preview. They're going to be only be able to make suggestions, not actually outright edit. So when we save this, it's going to automatically kick that email out to that individual. And we view this contract. There's one thing I do want to point out here. It's because they only can suggest, right? If I shrink this down a bit, let me do this. Bear with me here for a second. You'll notice this bigger screen on the background. This is me, the creator. This smaller screen is the person that's outside of our org, right? You'll notice that I can hover over this icon just like you would in Google Docs, and I can see who's on this document with me. So this person here on the outside party, say they want to erase this full first paragraph. When they do that, you see that it's live. It shows me that, hey, they want to remove this content, but me being the creator, I have to accept or deny that change, right? Same thing if they wanted to leave a comment for me, they can do that as well. So say, let's say they want to comment on this piece right here, right? When they comment, that is live. I can see it all right here. So again, I can resolve that comment and I can say, no, I don't want to accept this change, right? So you have this ability here. Another thing to point out is we do have version history. So if this is something that this document's going through multiple different things, we have different versions that we can do, and we can also show side-by-side comparisons of those and show those differences that have happened between the versions, right? So that's all that kind of happens and takes place during this back and forth negotiation phase. But once we're ready there, the negotiations have happened, we're ready to start moving on to, hey, are we ready to get this to signature? This is where we move into our approve stage. And when we move to the approval stage, me being the one in control of this contract, I will have to decide who is actually going to be in charge of approving. So me being the creator, I'm going to keep myself approving, and then someone from the receiving team. I want this person to make sure everything's good on their end, right? So when I do that, you'll see I'm still in my view. I'm able to review this document and simply say, yeah, I want to approve for this. My team is ready to go. We're ready to sign. Now, we're still not moving to signing yet because we're waiting for approval from the receiving team. So if I pop back over to their screen, you can see they never left, but it shows them, hey, this has been moved to the approving stage. And now that's a task they have to approve this for their team. So once they do that, now we're able to move on to the signing stage, and you can see it kicks them out where they're not able to make any more suggestions or edits. Back on my screen, I'm able to move this into signature, which I say we won't cover again, but you can see it pulls up that quick sign that I just showed you. You're able to enter in the emails to who needs to sign, and we're able to move on through that whole process I showed you. I know that was a lot I just threw at you, but that is a little bit more complex than QuickSign, right? There's a lot moving parts here. If there's any questions, throw them in chat for me. The last bit I'm going to cover is where we get a little bit more complex than that, where we talk about building custom workflows. So I'm going to move into one of our workspaces, my demo workspace, and I have a workflow here that I built for you guys. And before I show this and what I want to try to explain what our glossary is or what our definition of a workflow is a series of tasks that are used to automate a business process, right? So you say, well, Michael, you just showed me you automating the contract process. That's true, but that's a very linear, very straight down, very straightforward process where there's just simply redlining and then sending for signature. We understand that that's not always fits everybody's use case. Some people need approvals and denials from managers before they're able to move on to the negotiation phase. Sometimes there's things where you want Docubee to generate the contract for you. You don't want to hand type stuff. You want to be able to pull data in and just generate a contract. Or we want to start using logic things where, hey, if XYZ happens, go this way versus that way, right? So this is where we really can get complex. So just prefacing with that, I'm going to open up the modeler. This is something we build on the back end. And this is a simple, scenario of, hey, I have a contract and I'm using some logic and some document generation. So I'm just going to start here at the modeler, and then we'll actually run it so you can physically see what it would look like to the end user. But on the back end, we have a web form where we're gathering data, right? We're gathering who's submitting this, who's starting this off, who's the contractor we're sending this to, what's the contract information, like the number and the amount of it. And then we also have some things like additional questions, like are there clauses we want to add here? And the reason I'm showing you this is when we run this, these clauses here will automatically be generated into our contract for us. So we have a service contract here. I have a couple things highlighted with these little funky tags. That information we're gathering on the web form will be generated here for you automatically. You'll see some paragraphs down here that are highlighted. These are conditionally going to be put in or removed from the contract based off of what you select on that first web form. So I kind of want to preface this before we run it. And then the biggest thing being once that document is generated, we have the logic piece. Where does this go, right? if this contract, and in this scenario, is over $10,000, it has to go to our CEO to approve first before it goes to the manager to sign and then to the contractor. In this other scenario, if it's less, if it's in between that, more than 5,000 but less than 10, we don't need to bother our CEO. We just want it to go to the manager. They have authority to approve that and sign it. And if it's less than that, we don't even want to bother our manager. We just want it to go directly to the contractor, right? So we have three different scenarios that could play out depending on the type of contract. So if we run this based off of one thing on here, this contract amount is going to push this down a certain route. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and run this. So running a workflow, we can run it if we're logged in. So say I'm someone that works here at Docubee and I'm in my org and I want to run this workflow, I simply come here and hit run. We can also share these workflows. So meaning it could be a link living on your intranet or your website or anywhere. Anybody that clicks this link will start this process, even QR codes. So someone could come up with their phone, scan this QR code, and it would start this process. We also have something called bulk run, meaning we can start hundreds of processes at the same time with the ability of you just uploading a CSV file with the appropriate information, and it kicks off 1,000 instances at the same time. So there's multiple different ways to start them. But let's go ahead and give this a run so I can show you this logic piece. So we started this out. You can see I pre-filled data so you guys don't have to watch me type a bunch of stuff, but we have information here that we can hand type into these fields. One thing I want to talk about is the conditional logic piece. So first, let's put this contract amount in. I'm going to say we're just going to do 9,200, right? That's the middle branch that we had kind of built out here, where it's not going to bug our CEO. It's going to go directly to the manager, right? So we have a contract for this amount. Is there clauses we want to add? You can see that this is a conditional question we ask. If I hit yes, now we have more fields that appear. So we can do conditional fields, conditional viewing on a web form. And now let's check some of these clauses. So I'm just going to do the invoicing and tax and duties. These other two I'm going to leave unchecked. And when this document gets generated, we should not see any highlighted paragraphs in those sections, right? These other two, we should see those highlighted sections. So we'll go ahead and hit continue. I kick this off. That's the last task for this person. I'm just kicking this contract off. So if we go back to the modeler, the next step that would happen right now is it's generating this contract for us. It's going to go down that logic branch here, and it's going to kick off an email to our manager. If everything is built correctly, it's going to do that. So as you can see here, everything's been completed for this user. They can simply close the browser. Now, if I go over to my computer, now you see I have an email saying new contract has been submitted. Here's the contract number we provided. It went directly to my manager. They're able to view right in here. So as soon as they jump in, they should be presented with this contract. And now we see all the stuff that was generated for us. Everything on that web form we put in, the contract number, the date, the contractor name, all this stuff was put in for us. Those tags are removed and the data is there now. So under invoicing and payment, you see our two highlighted paragraphs. That means that clause button I checked, put those paragraphs in there for me because I checked that box. Same thing with the taxes. Now, under these warranty ones, I don't see any highlights. That means because I didn't check that box, those paragraphs were excluded, right? So you can see how we can conditionally generate something onto a contract for you. And at the end, here they have their nice little signature box that you've seen before during the quick sign process. They're able to sign and approve or deny this. We have two buttons down here. So we're going to go ahead and hit approve because that continues the workflow. If we go back here, if they would have denied it, it would have simply canceled the process, right? We can build other actions there if there's something needed there. But here, now it's going to kick off something to the contractor, to the person we're actually sending this to. So now my tasks are complete, and that email to the contractor should be kicked out. And you can see here we have a contract approved, sent to Jim Halpert, who's our contractor. And now that person's able to jump into this contract, see that you signed it, and they're ready to sign and complete the workflow. So if they scroll down to the bottom or navigate from the checklist here, you'll see they're able to sign. Their stuff's already put in there for them. They don't have to hand type it, make it super simple for them, and they hit approve, and we're done with the workflow. So you'll see right now it's burning this information into that document, and the workflow is completed successfully. I know this long-winded. Last thing I want to point out with workflows is there's a complete audit trail of this. So if you're here logged in, you can see our instance list. You can see anything that's running. So we have another one I ran earlier today just to show this to you. I can click on this. I can see where they're at. They got their email. Now they're just waiting to sign it. So I can see where they're at. If we go to the completed column, though, we should see the one we just completed. And we can see every step of the way what has happened, what time it happened, the IP addresses. We have a complete audit trail of this. And we can even go to the files and we can preview that completed document. So here's our signed contract all the way down to the bottom with the signatures. So like I said, that's the more complex things. Those can get a lot more complex or a lot simpler depending on what you need. but we can do things like automatic reminders, approvals and denials, like where I was pointing out. So that's about it. I'm gonna stop blabbering here and let's get back to the slides. And first, let's just kick off with questions. Does anybody have any questions for us? And Ariana, I'll let you take over here.
Sure, thank you, Michael. So we did cover quite a lot in a pretty short period of time. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, either for Michael or for Brian, you can go ahead and enter them in the questions tab on the GoToWebinar panel. I do have one that came in while we were going through the demo, and that question was, what is the average deal size that we can expect from this? Brian, did you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that one. So um, it's interesting. Over the last 6 months, Docubee's deal size have grown significantly. Our typical deal size now is about $4,000 a license, a total package of licenses. But I think what we're expecting from SHI is probably deals $10,000 and up. Now, that's not saying we won't take onesie twosies. We always will. But where our the sweet spot's going to be, I think, is 10,000 and up.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brian. I have another question about how long it takes to onboard new clients. Michael, do you want to take that one?
Yep, I was gonna say I'll take that one. It really depends on what their license looks like and what they're implementing, right? So we showed these three complexities, right, that we have. If someone is just simply using us for eSignature, they can get onboarded and up and running in pretty much the same day. It's not within 24 hours. We simply need to activate their account. They can use QuickSign right off the bat. Um, Contract, you might need a little bit of training there, but again, very simple. Help them upload their templates. It's very easy to onboard. Workflow, that can get a little bit more complex depending on how big that workflow ends up being and how complex that process is. So that varies from time from 1 day, I'll say, to 3 months is probably the longest one I've seen here in a bit, but that was a very complex workflow that we were building out for them.
Thanks, Michael. I have one more about what the strengths are for Docubee relative to competitors. Brian, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, sure. I think we went over a good bit, but definitely our price point. We hate to be the low cost leader, but we are. But and I always go back to an example. I used to work for Lexmark, and Lexmark printers way back in the day were trying to compete with Hewlett Packard. And I don't know whoever started it, but there was a phrase, you can never get fired for purchasing Hewlett Packard. Um, and so Lexmark, we knew we had to be a better engineered, a better product at a better price. And that's where I think where we are. We are a more feature rich platform for contract automation and e-signature than our competitors, and at a better price. So if we want to get into specifics, definitely, reach out to me. We can go over specific feature by feature. And as well, in the literature we'll send to you guys, we're going to have a breakdown on our line by line features versus our competitors.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. That's all the questions that I saw in the chat panel. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping things up here. Go ahead and submit anything if you still wanted to get it asked while we're wrapping this up, and we'll make sure that someone from our team follows up and gets that answered for you. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. I really hope that this webinar was helpful and sparked some ideas on how Docubee can help you or your clients fly through contracts. If you'd like to chat with a Docubee specialist about any more specific questions than what we dove into here today, you can scan the QR code on the screen to schedule a custom demo. We will also be following up with the recording of today's webinar via email this week if you'd like to review any part of it, or if you'd like to share this session with colleagues. You're also always welcome to reply to that email with any questions or to request to see some more information from us. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.